So we just heard from lawyers representing Dominion Voting Systems after the company settled with Fox. The attorney, Justin Nelson, announced the deal. It's a really unbelievable figure. Fox is going to pay Dominion Voting Systems $787,500,000. Dominion's lawyer saying, quote, today represents a ringing endorsement for truth and for democracy. Fox trying to put a positive face on what can only be interpreted as one of the ugliest and most embarrassing moments in the history of journalism. Fox issued a statement saying, quote, we are pleased to have reached a settlement of our dispute with Dominion Voting Systems. We acknowledge the court's rulings finding certain claims about Dominion to be false. The settlement reflects, I'm sorry, this is going to be difficult to say with a straight face. This settlement reflects Fox's continued commitment to the highest journalistic standards. We are hopeful that our decision to resolve the dispute with Dominion amicably instead of the acrimony of a divisive trial allows the country to move forward from these issues. Unquote. Let's bring back CNN legal analysts Laura Coates and Ellie Honig. Wow. So Laura, $787,500,000. I can only assume that Fox is cutting this check because they feared that after a jury trial, not only would they have to pay more, but it would become even more obvious that they are not a journalistic organization, that they're an organization that is just chasing ratings and viewers, and it doesn't really matter what they say, whether it's true or not. That's what their business model is.
Look, as my father would say, that's not chump change. You're not going to go ahead and pay that amount of money because you believe that you were ultimately truthful and that you were going to prevail. This is a huge amount of money. They probably already endured quite a bit of attorney's fees. This is about half, though, of the $1.6 billion that they had asked for from the Dominion side, saying that money is accountability. But let me tell you the part that made me lean in, and that's when they said, we're not done yet. There are others who still need accounting. This is not the end of the road, because remember, it's one thing if we're talking about Fox News, but there were also people, individuals, who were also vocalizing similarities. And you asked about whether a precedent was set. You better believe that everyone who is related to this particular news organization that made these statements knowingly or with a conscious disregard also are subject to some of the similar requirements of not defaming someone. And so if this is what Fox is willing to do, you can imagine what the individual would need to do. And it seems very clear. I'm glad they mentioned, because we remember, it wasn't just the company. Individuals were threatened. Physical harm was threatened. The lives of employees who were simply just trying to do their jobs. It's a heck of a message to send today.
Yeah, and there are other cases going on. I believe those two election workers in Georgia are suing a right-wing website for lying about them. Ellie, the Fox statement did not have an apology to its viewers or to Dominion. It did have this one line, quote, we acknowledge the court's rulings finding certain claims about Dominion to be false. So translated, that means Fox acknowledges that they aired and pushed lies about Dominion. Is that what that means?
Yeah, translated, it means we got caught lying by the judge. And I think that's exactly why we are seeing this absolutely jaw-dropping number. I mean, let's be clear. This is an unequivocal rebuke of Fox News, of their reporting, of their quote-unquote journalism. I don't know. I'm not exactly a historian, but I don't believe I've ever seen a jury verdict or a settlement on the amount of $787 million. Now, yes, this is half of what Dominion was asking, but as you and I have discussed on air, I didn't think there was any way they would get $1.6 billion, even when they proved their case, even if they proved it overwhelmingly to a jury. Let's remember, by its own estimation, Dominion valued the entire company at somewhere between $30 and $80 million. This settlement is 10 times the value of Dominion as an entire company. That's how strong a statement this is with this number.
Yeah, and I guess that answers the question I was going to ask Laura, which is, and we noted this minutes ago before the press conference, Dominion is owned by a private equity firm. So a $787,500,000 check worth much, much more than the company really solves the problem, right? Even though Dominion talked about the reputational damage the company faced, they can just shut down Dominion, start again under a different name, and move on, I guess.
You know, the point is, though, they ought not to have had to, and that's what this number suggests and what the rebuke from the court also dictates, that this is that they did not have to, but for the lies that were told and confirmed by a judge. And remember, 12 members of a jury were going to hear things that we had heard in the court of public opinion, but likely even more things, including having anchors, having key executives take the stand and try under oath. Remember, we always talk about you can lie to the press, right? You don't have to tell us the truth. There's not an oath for us, although you want that credibility and integrity. But a court of actual law is wildly different. And this sets a very powerful precedent here. You know, the First Amendment actually means nothing if there are truly no standards or accountability. It means it's a free-for-all and you can say what you want and under the cloak and guise of saying it as the First Amendment. But the First Amendment actually has restraints. It actually has things you cannot do and cannot go beyond. And one of them is defamation. You cannot use your platform and to try to hide behind the First Amendment by saying lies. And these lies had consequences to individuals, to a corporation, and don't forget the larger picture here. We're talking as we go into an election year, a presidential election year from the last one, that it has people believing that somehow this company was integral in trying to promote an election-related lie that did not happen.
Yeah, and let's remember there's still another defamation trial, I believe, that Fox is facing from Smartmatic, a different election technology.